Good evening, and welcome to the March installment of Dialogue with Leadership. We're back with County Executive Dr. Alan McCarthy. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Of course. So let's start with an update on Great Wolf Lodge. What's going on with that?
Well, Great Wolf Lodge, we've entered into agreement. All the signatures have not been put on the paper yet, but we're basically moving forward.
Okay.
And hopefully within a very brief period of time, any little hang-ups will have been ironed out and basically be a done deal.
Do you know, what is the projected timeline for breaking ground?
I think that they intend to have it operational by 2021.
Okay.
So they'll probably be breaking ground sometime, hopefully this fall.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have to get all the permits and do that.
Yeah, I know people are looking forward to it because it'll bring lots of jobs.
Yes, it will. That's correct. They're expecting anywhere between 450 and 600 jobs being developed through the development of this piece of property.
And speaking of jobs, conventional wisdom would suggest that a $15 minimum wage, as the General Assembly is deliberating on currently, is bad for economic development and employment. However, studies have shown that there are psychological and medical benefits associated with the $15 minimum wage, like decreased smoking and decreased teen pregnancy and increased birth weight. The County Council recently unanimously opposed the Fight for 15 bill, that, by the way, a version of which just passed the House in the General Assembly last week. Do you have any insight into the decision-making that would lead the County Council to that choice?
I feel that the County Council is afraid that basically by implying or basically creating a $15 minimum wage will have a negative impact on Cecil County. The primary reasons being is that we are very close to Pennsylvania, Delaware. Delaware
Which
has
have
a
much
very
lower
lower minimum wages. And basically it'll take people out of our jurisdiction and direct business to areas where there's lower taxes. Another major problem with the minimum wage that I believe is they feel that a lot of entry-level jobs, especially those jobs which basically require very little skills and basically employ young people, will no longer be available because businesses will basically try to go to either automation, robotization, or more computerization.
Right, you gave the example of McDonald's.
Exactly. Anytime that you hire somebody at a particular fee, you have to give them benefits, which basically, in many cases, almost turns out to be a 30% addition to whatever the hourly rate is. So for those reasons, a lot of our council people are not in favor of it. And I personally feel that it would be, it's not really fair for Maryland. The reason being is because Maryland is such a diverse state. We have an area like well, not Appalachia, but Allegheny County, Garrett County, which are basically more rural counties. The wage scales are not that high. They're close to Pennsylvania, they're close to West Virginia, they're close to Virginia, and all of these other areas pay a lower wage. And then you have other areas like Montgomery County and Prince George's County right outside of D.C., which they have much higher scales, and consequently they can more easily afford to pay a higher minimum wage to their employees, and especially Ocean City in the summertime when it's real busy. So I would suggest that they have a regional, or leave it up to the counties to determine their own minimum wage, but that's not what's happening now.
Right, yeah, well, we will see. We will see what happens. Like you said, opponents have cited the risks to businesses and how it could really harm small businesses. But on the other side, proponents of the bill are citing these benefits to the population and workers.
Anytime that you can get more money into the hands of the working class, that's good. But the thing is, at the same time, there are negative impacts caused by it, and that's one of the big issues.
Well, we'll have to chat about that next time you're in the studio, because by then, I think I forget exactly when session ends, actually.
Session should end probably the end of the first week of April.
Okay, so maybe next time you're here we can talk about it.
We'll know for certain. There's a possibility the governor might veto the bill, but I don't know if he can maintain the veto.
Yeah, and I don't know that he could. So Cecil County Public Schools is seeking a $6.4 million increase over their FY19 budget allocation. And they've said that they would need more like $30 million to be on par with the state averages as far as per pupil funding. And declining enrollment and increased wealth in the county will likely lead to less and less money coming from the state. How are we going to keep up?
The only way that we can keep up is basically for the county to find ways to generate new revenues. One of the problems is we brought lots of new businesses in, but because they're in the enterprise zone, they do not generate the tax revenue which they really will anticipate after their time in the enterprise zone is basically expanded. For example, if you were to make a capital contribution, whatever you do to improve the property, the county only collects 20% of that the first 5 years. If that's 25%, 20% per year for 5 years, and then we get 30%, 40%, 50% in a decreasing scale for them, but beneficial to us. Right now, we're in the infancy of this program, so our revenues are not nearly what they will be in a brief, more than a 10-year time period frame. So without that, I don't really know how we can get more revenue for the public schools, because they're growing their expenses at a far greater rate than we can grow the revenues.
Right, even though they've
Yes.
tried to slash funding, I think.
Yes, they have. For example, this year we're basically flat in terms of revenue. Last year we basically had 3 or 4 businesses that refinanced, which basically provided us about $3 million in extra revenue, but there's no guarantee and we can't count on those things happening every year. So this year we'll have to flat fund them. I'm going to provide them as much money as I can, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near $6.4 million.
Right. So the county council is set to deliberate on next Monday, March 11th, I believe, on the school's budget request.
Yes.
How do you think that they will?
I think that it'll be more aligned with me. I can't promise what they're going to do, but I would think that they would be. The 6.4, it was a 7.6% increase is a huge, huge increase.
Right.
I mean, I can understand their needs, I can understand their wants, but once again, we have to maintain a balanced budget, and the money is just not there without basically totally cannibalizing other departments in Cecil County government.
Okay. Do you have any other updates to share?
No, not at this particular time. We're getting ready to start the budget season. That should be very interesting. We have many departments which have very many needs. Basically, I'm looking to see what we can do to basically repair, fix, and maintain our county roads. Our county road funds were basically depleted significantly over the last decade.
Yeah.
We were receiving close to $7 million a year, and we got down to $600,000 last year. But it's starting to move up, but still not enough to basically adequately do it, but we can start repairing them. Other than that, everything else in the county, I think, is moving pretty well. We've added 3,000 new jobs. We're bringing in new businesses. Hopefully I'll be able to make some more announcements in the near future. We basically have cut the ribbons, and we're putting water infrastructure on the Route 40 corridor, which basically allow those properties to appreciate in value and bring in new businesses. So I'm very excited about all the good things we're doing, and hopefully Cecil County is changing much for the better.
I hope so too.
I think it will be.
Dr. Alan McCarthy, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much. Okay, you have a good evening, okay?
You too.
Thank you.